I didn't expect the Suicide Squad to work, but it does, and it's everything the first movie should have been. James Gunn's chaotic reboot that somehow made you care about a team of D-list heroes. Well, they aren't technically heroes, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's a movie that leans fully into the weirdness, but somehow balances the comedy and some seriously emotional moments. So let's break down what worked, what didn't, and why this movie might just be a good insight into where the new DCU is headed. Right from the jump, the Suicide Squad makes it clear this isn't your typical superhero team up story. You've got a team of villains, most who would actually stab each other in the back if it meant getting a few years taken off their prison sentences. But what's the mission, you might ask? Pure chaos. They're dropped into a politically unstable country with zero backup, zero clarity, and zero guarantee they'll make it out alive. But that's kind of the point. These are people the government sees as disposable. Here's what really makes it click. Things get wild, but in the middle of all the chaos, there's always this quiet undertone of who these characters really are when no one's watching, and that's the real hook. It's not just about a team saving the world, it's about a bunch of broken, violent people trying to find purpose, even if they don't necessarily realize it themselves. This movie shouldn't work this well, but all the characters make it personal. This movie throws you in the deep end from the very start. We're talking about a dozen unexpected deaths and a team that seems built to fall apart from when they first meet. But James Gunn does something really smart. He anchors all the chaos with real characters. There's a surprising emotional storyline underneath it all, and that's something that makes the whole thing feel a little more grounded, even when there's a giant starfish stomping through the streets. First, I want to talk about the Peacemaker and Bloodsport rivalry. Their back and forth is pure gold, constantly trying to one-up each other in pretty wild and interesting ways. It's one of the most entertaining rivalries in my opinion, any superhero movie. Then in a twist, you get the Peacemaker versus Rick Flag fight, and it honestly changes everything. That twist where Peacemaker reveals his secret orders and ends up killing Rick Flag Jr., it's one of those, wait, what? No way that just happened moments, and it makes you realize the stakes. And whenever I first saw it, I was like, wait, I thought I knew this guy, but it turns out he's not who you thought he was. And he had a secret mission the entire time to stop Rick Flag or anyone from releasing any of the data that was in that military base. And it actually gets worse. He nearly kills Ratcatcher too, if it weren't for Bloodsport stepping in. And since we're on the topic of Ratcatcher, let's talk about her. She brings real heart to this movie. Her connection with Sebastian, yes, the rat, is oddly wholesome, and her growing bond with Bloodsport feels genuine. It mirrors his broken relationship with his daughter and gives the film this emotional core, and it kind of sneaks up on you. And that's really where Bloodsport shines. His arc in general is one of the best. He's cold and closed off at first, but you watch him slowly open up, not in a cheesy way, but through these little moments of connection with the other characters. He goes from a distant leader to someone who actually cares for the people around him. And now let's talk about Harley Quinn's escape. It's visually appealing, even though it drags for a little too long. The flower-filled animation during her escape gives her scene a unique touch, and it honestly fits her character pretty well. But speaking of wild, that opening scene where they introduce a dozen characters only to kill most of them off within minutes somehow just works. It's pretty funny and shocking, and perfectly sets the chaotic tone right from the start. It also sets the expectation that no one is safe, like Rick Flag and Peacemaker, who inevitably get injured later in the movie. Also, in a movie packed with chaos, it's surprising how the main villain Starro manages to feel more tragic than threatening. It could have been a complete joke villain, but somehow it's tragic. His final line, "I was happy floating in space," weirdly makes you feel for the giant alien starfish, and it's different, but it works. It also makes you question who the real monster or villain was. And in my opinion, there's not much wrong. But yeah, the Harley Quinn romance subplot, it feels like a distraction. It has its moments, but overall it slows the pacing and doesn't really add much. And Waller deserved better. Amanda Waller also feels a little underwritten here. She's supposed to be the intimidating puppet master pulling all the strings, but for most of the movie, she's reacting instead of commanding. It just makes her seem very weak. But despite those flaws, this movie works overall. It's violent, weird, and pretty funny at times. It has some similar aspects to Guardians of the Galaxy, and it tries to push it through an R-rated setup, and it's up to you to decide if it works. I'm not completely sure, but more importantly, it gives the characters time to breathe, even the weird ones, even the ones you expect to die in 5 minutes. It's not just style, there's substance underneath the gore and jokes, and for me, that's what makes it stick. It's not afraid to kill off major characters, and most of all, it's not afraid to be unique, which is exactly what most comic book movies are missing these days. And that brings us to the moment that really ties all of that together. The moment Ratcatcher calls all of the rats in the city to swarm Starro. This scene is insane, over the top, and actually kind of cool. You've got this massive threat, and a big reason why it's taken down is by one of the characters everyone overlooked. It's poetic in a weird way, and honestly, the perfect emotional high point to wrap the film's whole vibe in one sequence. So, do I think this movie is bad? No, I don't, and definitely not as bad as people make it seem to be. And in my opinion, I think the movie primarily failed at the box office because of the circumstances and time of release, not the fault of the movie itself. It was probably a mixture of COVID and especially the drama around the DCU at the time, and the fact they couldn't make a good movie if it meant going bankrupt. Also, let me know in the comments if you want to see me make a video on Peacemaker Season 1 so we can explore this character more and we can get a refresher because Season 2 releases soon. And thank you for joining me in today's movie review. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and feel free to check out my previous videos. I put a lot of work into these videos and I try to improve on each one. So if you can, check it out. It tells the algorithm that my videos are worth watching. And as always, stay curious and let's keep the conversation going.